Alright, let's fast forward this over to the 21st century. Get our color and our sound back in here. But yeah, this is the deluxe version of the Phantom. I had mentioned with the Invisible Man that they were originally planning a separate version for the deluxe version with a different look. Well, they actually did do that with the Phantom. And unfortunately, I never picked up the Toys R Us version, and I just this week started trying to find it because I knew it was sitting around on pegs forever, and I realized they are all gone now, even though they sat around for almost a year. But the Toys R Us exclusive version was actually the masked version of the Phantom. He came with a violin, and he had a different kind of cloak on instead of just a tuxedo. So we have a very, very different version here. So that Phantom came with some unique accessories, but let's get into this one and see what he came with. The Phantom's display base is really cool looking. It's this mossy stone flooring. It's very, very thin, especially compared to some of the other ones we've had. But it's a great texture and a great look. It's got its two pegs on here. Just very, very nicely done. I like it a lot, and he stands well on it. He comes with an interchangeable hand. This one, I think, is actually kind of a leftover from the Toys R Us version. This looks like it's meant to be playing that violin. It has the fingers kind of moving like they would on the fretboard. So I think this is actually something that I wouldn't really ever use with this version. I guess you could have it down and look like he's playing the keys on the organ, but really I think it's more for that violin. Comes with the Songbook, Juan Triumphant. It's just a basic looking book, but there's some good detail. You can see it actually looks like it has individual pages in there, which is pretty cool. The cover on mine almost looks like there used to be a sticker on it, and the sticker got removed. There's like definitely some weird wear on there. It actually is a little sticky now that I touch it, so I don't know what's up with that, but still cool. And of course, the deluxe-sized accessory that really makes this the deluxe set is the organ. Very cool, nice wood texture to it, all the keys on there. Some great sculpt on it. It looks really, really good. It's a great backdrop to this character. It's huge, though. It really is. The back of it is completely hollow. You can see all the screws in there. So I keep mine just up against the wall because you're not going to ever want to see the backside. But just a very, very neat accessory. The only thing that could have been better is if it had come with a bench for him to sit on. And of course, you can just take your songbook and put it right up there on top of it. And it works perfectly. So the main reason I picked this version of the figure as opposed to the Toys R Us one is because this is the unmasked head. And when you think of Phantom of the Opera, you think of probably two versions. You think of the Lon Chaney version, and you probably think of the Andrew Lloyd Webber version. And that version, of course, had the half mask that is iconic. I kind of talked about it with the Phantom Gremlin. That's kind of what they emulated there. So he has a more iconic mask. This version, the Lon Chaney version, has the more iconic face. And holy cow, that is definitely a face on there. That is very, very true to Lon Chaney's makeup. Is the deep sunken-in eyes, the almost skeletal turned-up nose that he used these wires to actually pull it back on his head, which is just crazy. He's got his nasty, nasty teeth in there. He has his stringy black hair with a big bald spot on top. The flesh tone paint leaves a little to be desired. It's a nice pale, but it probably could use some layers and some detail work in it. It's very flat, and it doesn't really highlight the wrinkles and everything too well. You have to look for them through the paint. If they had some dry brushing or some wash in there, it really could have highlighted those parts and really brought out the coolness of the sculpt. Even the hair is a very flat black. I could have used some dry brushing on there to bring out the individual strands, but the sculpt is very solid. Down here on the body, we have his bow tie, his undershirt. He has his full tuxedo, so he has the under part here, but then the soft rubber upper coat part that comes down to the penguin tail back here, very nicely detailed. Hard sculpted sleeves. His hands are nicely detailed as well, looking very deformed and gross. If we bring in these two hands side by side, the extra hand and the original on here, you can see there's not a huge difference between the two. So it kind of makes it a useless point to have the swappable hand, and I've probably never swapped the hands on this guy. The other hand is this big, open, grandiose gesture, which really works for me. Being a silent film, there was a lot of grandiose, over-the-top, exaggerated gestures in this film, so that very much screams silent movie to me. The legs are well detailed, just basic black pants, and then his black shoes, which probably could use a little extra detailing, but still very nice. For articulation, we have a ball-jointed head that goes side to side very easily, and a little up and down, but not really much at all. Pin socket shoulders, forward, back, out to the side. A swivel at the bicep, bend about 45 degrees and rotate at the elbow, which is very odd to me, seeing that you have a bicep swivel. You really don't need a swivel at the elbow, but this is a body that they've been using pretty much ever since this figure came out, so it's a strange move on their part. The wrist can rotate as well as bend. It would bend a lot better if it wasn't for the sleeves on his jacket that really hinders the movement, but you get a good amount out of there. We have a swivel at the waist. The legs can go forward and back and out to the side. Swivel at the upper leg. Bend at the knee a decent amount. And then we can swivel at the ankle. So overall, I think Diamond did a really solid job with this figure. I wish the deluxe version would have had all the parts to make both versions of the character, both the masked and unmasked. Even if we didn't have the cloak and stuff that came on the Toys R Us version, a swappable head would have been really cool, because I really regret not having the masked version now, even though this mask is a very strange one in this movie. But with the nice set building diorama piece, the decent little stand, and the great added articulation they've done to this figure, the real stepping up that I talked about beginning with the Invisible Man, this is the full fruition of it, with a well-articulated figure finally. I'm pretty happy with this guy. I'm gonna recommend him, for sure. I'm a little less jazzed about it because going back to this figure and finally reviewing him, I'm just kind of regretting my decision not to pick up the masked version, but that's all my fault. It has nothing to do with anything else. But very much a fan of this figure. Definitely recommend you trying to track him down if you can. The deluxe version actually seems to be easier to find now. The Toys R Us version being a Toys R Us version, there's not many places you can go and hunt him down. Even on the Toys R Us website, if you search for Phantom of the Opera, this is the figure that comes up, not the exclusive Toys R Us version. This version that they never carried in their store. So it's a little confusing, a little weird, but definitely if you're a fan of classic horror cinema, this is one to grab. Make sure you check out Outside the Box Reviews on Facebook. There'll be a link below as always. Also check out Outside the Box Reviews on Instagram. Username Outside the Box Reviews. And until next time, this has been another Outside the Box review. Keep coming back all week as we look at more Universal horror figures, and stay tuned all month as we look at a whole realm of horror figures leading up to Halloween. Today on Outside the Box Reviews, our week long... Oh wait, I'm supposed to do this as the silent movie, aren't I?